It feels so good to be on the same page with you. On January 22nd, Venus, our relationship planet, is going to meet up with Saturn, the planet of structure. This is going to happen at about 24 degrees of Aquarius. And this happens just one day after the new moon in Aquarius, which is ruled by Saturn. So everything that I'm saying here does sort of get wrapped on into that new moon in Aquarius, but it does deserve its own, of course, a little astrology shot, because this aspect is a big deal. Venus and Saturn meeting up in the sign of Aquarius. This can be a very constructive crossroads for relationships. Saturn bringing constructiveness and clarity is going to help us highlight some things that we'd like to work on. Now, the good news is that this won't be like a highly emotional transit necessarily. It's more objective. It's like, hey, we're teammates. How can we make this machine run more efficiently? And so the Aquarius energy helps sort of put things on ice. So this is really, really supportive for if you have some issues that you need to address in any relationship, whether that's in your marriage, in your relationship, in your like hookup, in your business relationship, in any kind of relationship, a friendship. This is going to help sort of bring things forward in a very like neutral, friendly, objective, like let's solve this together kind of way. And that's really great because then people don't feel as hurt, right? And we can focus more on the solution versus being defensive, for example. So nonetheless, Venus-Saturn alignments can be challenging. You may be feeling that hurt, but it may be that it takes a little bit of a back seat to those innovative qualities that are highlighted in the sign of Aquarius. It's still challenging. You know, sometimes Saturn can feel like work, but it's the kind of work that pays off in the end. It's the kind of work that's worth doing when you want something to last or when you're heavily invested in another person, for example. So this can often present a challenge, something that we would like to overcome. Or maybe this is a time when we need to define the relationship. Maybe you are in sort of this like undefined realm with a partner. And you're wondering, you know, what are we? What does our future look like? What are my expectations? What are the expectations of one another? What are the terms of our commitment? You know, it's starting to get a little more serious here. So Venus's conjunction with Saturn can really help clarify those things so that we can get on the same page. And so sometimes that can be really assuring and bring a certain level of security. And other times, you know, the truth can hurt with Saturn, but at least we're getting the truth. So that's the important thing here, is that it can be really constructive because it defines, but we may not always get the answer that we want, especially when we're being told that we have to do something to show up in a better way. Because this is also a really good time, even if you've been in a committed relationship, to talk about expectations, to talk about where we need to take, you know, more responsibilities, like running a household, for example, with another person. This is a really great time to talk about, hey, you've been kind of slacking on your dinner ideas. I'm going to need you to Pinterest those a little bit better for us. Maybe I'm talking about myself. But anyways, yeah, like this is where you can have sort of those constructive conversations around how do we run better as a team. And can also be a time when the scales get evened out a little bit more. So if one person's been taking a lot more of the responsibility, a lot more of the initiative, or just pulling their weight a lot more in the relationship in whatever kind of fashion, this can be a time when we talk about it and we get, you know, ideas about how we could even those scales. We could also be talking about the future in any context. It doesn't have to be all Saturn responsibility work stuff. It can be, hey, I have this idea for us in the future. Let's save our money. Let's save our time off. Let's work for it. Let's get something fun on the calendar this summer. So it can be awesome like that too. I just want to acknowledge that this kind of transit can feel challenging for folks, but it can also be really, really like awesome. Like, yeah, like we're on the same page. We got that in the air. We're on the same understanding. It can be so, so supportive. So yeah, I hope that this Venus conjunction with Saturn is really awesome for you and that it serves you in the highest. And that is your astrology shot of the day. Bye. Thanks so much for tuning in with me today. For more astrology in your inbox, subscribe to my mailing list where you'll be the first to know when my books reopen in April when I return from maternity leave. I may not be as active on here in February and March as we welcome baby Aquarius into our family, but you can also follow along with me on all platforms at Astro Catherine.